Hello.
Hello and welcome to the Joy Dealers podcast, where we talk about emotional healing and inner work in general. I am here with Leonie again today. And Leonie, what topic did you choose today from our menu?
Hey. Hi. I'm glad to be back with you. Today, I would like to ask you questions about releasing limiting beliefs.
Ah, great. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So, first of all, where do they come from, those limiting beliefs in general?
Mhm. So, limiting beliefs are basically a system or a structure that we build in our forming years, so in our early childhood, because we come to this planet completely open and ready to absorb whatever is lived in front of us. And as a result, they often come from ideas that our parents have, ideas that our close relatives have, and our teachers have, our siblings, and they we choose from a menu of beliefs that seem logical in our limited logical abilities as children, and reduce reality to be able to cope with reality. And at some point, uh, we then have formed a personality with a certain belief system. So when people say that they are not religious, I would say that every human being has a belief system, and that doesn't need to be connected to one religion, but you will find beliefs that people have, how the world functions, how they function in the world, what they think about humans. For example, humans are friendly in general, or humans are not to be trusted, stuff like that. These are all beliefs that we have that that um, shape the reality in which we live. And when these beliefs are limiting, for example, if they limit our trust in our abilities, for example, in a certain area, or our ability to connect with other people, or something like that, then then they can limit us, and we want to question whether these beliefs are really serving us at this point.
All right. And to clarify, how do I realize what my limiting beliefs are, for example?
Okay, yeah. So this is a process of getting a bit more self-aware. Uh,
Okay.
I begin to see, okay, how do I interact with the world? And usually the easiest way to find out about your own beliefs is topics that trigger you, topics that or people that trigger you. That can sometimes be a first step to realize, whenever I meet somebody who's not trustworthy, for example, and an instant belief comes up, see, I told you, humans are not to be trusted. This is
Okay.
this is how I can realize, wait, that's a belief of mine, and I start looking for the proofs of my beliefs, because we humans, we always want to have proof of that what we are thinking is actually true. But
Okay.
true is actually everything is true in a certain way. Everything is true. What truths do we choose? That's the question.
All right. Okay. And how do I start unraveling? Like, for example, so I realize one of my limiting beliefs. Maybe it's the belief that I am not able to actually reach a certain goal because of this inner belief that I'm not capable, for example, not
Mhm.
qualified, maybe. And how do I start to go into working on this limiting belief when in reality, in my reality right now, I really believe that belief.
Yes. Yes, the first thing is it is important that we don't just gloss over it with positivity.
All
So,
right.
when I have a certain allergic reaction to people who work with affirmations, because often what happens with affirmations is I just make the sentence sound really positive and then everything will change, but that just doesn't happen because we need to get to the root of the belief to be able to change it. And we need to go into emotional resonance with the new belief. As long as it's just words, nothing will change. And the belief will always crawl back up once we are in a stressful situation. So it is important that we find the source of the belief. And for that, the inner work, the parts work can be very, very helpful because we find out where is this belief actually coming from. It can be like you can trace it back to a parent, for example, or a teacher, and then you need to go back into this moment and see and explain to that part of yourself that is stuck in that time that this belief is not yours, and maybe give it back to that person or release it completely. And now we're going into the next part of this work is how to release them. Is by explaining to our inner parts why we first took on these beliefs. So we need to go into big empathy with ourselves. Self empathy is key here, and not to be like, wow, you're so stupid. Why do you think about, like, why do you think you're not capable? You know, like if you go into that like that, then you will just hold on to that belief even more, and it will actually be a proof of your beliefs again. You know, once
Okay.
once you let the inner critic take it into his or her hands. So we need to be really, really empathic and friendly with ourselves to be able to release limiting beliefs because they served a purpose for a moment in our lives. And we need to acknowledge that and appreciate that, as silly as that sounds. But its aim, the beliefs' aims were always to keep us safe. And this is our our highest mission as children is to survive, basically to stay safe. And this and these all these protection mechanisms are exactly there for that, to keep us safe and somehow get us into adulthood.
All right. Which sounds lovely. It's basically like this limiting belief in a way is your friend, just a very overprotective friend, right?
Yes, exactly. So yeah,
Okay.
we basically want to tell this limiting beliefs, hey, you can let go now because we no longer need this much protection. And to release that into freedom and say, hey, you're very welcome to stay. I just would love for you to have a different task within me now. And that could be to be supportive, to be an advisor. They will find a different job within you because most of them want to stay actually. And it's good that they want to stay because they are not they are not their task. They took these tasks over to protect, but actually that's not what they would love to be doing within you if they had the choice, the limiting beliefs or the parts that hold these limiting beliefs within us. I'm a very big fan of parts work, uh, because I think that this is the greatest form of therapy when it comes to especially when it comes to working with beliefs and limiting beliefs, to understand that we have several voices within us and several personalities within us, and that doesn't make us multiple personality disorder pathology. It's just human nature that we have all of these parts within us, and to work with them instead of against them can be very, very liberating.
Yeah, it does sound liberating. Also, my thought now after listening to especially those parts that you mentioned, um, so that means that those limiting beliefs that I believe within myself, some of them are mine, right? And some of them could be even the limiting beliefs of, let's say, mother or father or whoever, um, which are not even mine and still are ingrained into myself. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that's the ones you said I could maybe even practice to give back.
Yes, exactly. So for that, in a session, if we would work with that, we would bring in front of your inner eye the person from whom you've taken that, and tell them that you would love to give it back to them. And sometimes these parts will tell you, well, but I don't want it back. And then you can see if you can maybe give it over to, you can drop it in a fire, or drop it into water, or give it to any of the elements, or you can do some ritual to bury it, something like that, and let it rest for good then, you know. But it needs that ritual. It needs that respectful way of handling it.
Yeah.
And
So a very mindful way as well, right?
yes, yes. And that way we are taking it closer to ourselves and allowing for it to dissolve, rather than pushing it away and separating from it.
Okay. Because it will come back and bite you in the bum, right?
Yes. Otherwise.
Okay. Lovely. All right. So just to break it down for myself to make it easier on myself, um, basically the first step would be to realize which of the phrases I repeatedly say to myself, for example, in certain situations, is that limiting belief. Um, and then after the realization, trying to step by step releasing it. Do you have one rather easy tool that I could start with? Or what would you recommend to do as a tool to start the process?
I would recommend that you write down your limiting beliefs, or one, let's work with one limiting belief, and then say it out loud. Say it out loud to yourself, and then after you've said it, feel into your body and see where it resonates, because usually it's saved somewhere in your body. Your body will give you clues and reactions to your limiting beliefs, and sometimes that can actually be soothing, you know. So as crazy as that sounds, but I'm just not good enough will be a soothing answer to, I don't know what's wrong with me, you know. So that can be a way to numb yourself, actually, or to soothe yourself in that moment, and experience, okay, and now I can relax again. I understand the world again, because the beliefs, they are actually explaining to us this incredibly complex world, you know. This is why, for example, children also really need clarity in rules.
Yeah.
It's not good for children to have all the options open at every time, all the time.
Yes. Okay.
That
I
is
love that.
incredibly overwhelming.
Yes, of course. And I love actually what you're saying about even resonating in the body, or where do you feel it in the body? Because now when I think about your energy against mantras or affirmations in that way, when I think about one limiting belief of myself and I would just turn it around into a positive phrase, it would feel as if my whole body resists against that phrase, right? Against
Mm-hmm.
that affirmation, because
Yes.
I don't believe it in my mind, but I also don't believe it physically.
Yes.
So there's so much resistance, which feels tiring to my
Mhm.
system, actually.
Yes. Yes. And you will notice your body will give you all the clues that you've actually released a limiting belief when you say the positive version of it, and your body reacts positively to that sentence.
Lovely. I really like the idea to say them write them down and say them out loud, the limiting belief itself,
Mm-hmm.
and let it be true in your body for that moment,
Yes.
to even be okay with that limiting belief
Yes.
in that moment. I
Yes.
like that. It sounds very like befriending that limiting belief first.
Yes. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's acceptance basically. Once we are able to accept it, this is the first step in the right direction, I would say. To be able to accept where we are at this very moment, and from there on begin to move, because we cannot move somewhere where we're not. When I start talking about the positive version of my limiting belief, I'm being super disrespectful to where I am standing right now. I am actually negating where I am standing right now and where I'm coming from as well.
Yes.
And this is why affirmations don't work, in my experience, don't work when I just work with them uh you know superficially.
Yes. It's a bit forced and it doesn't give yourself grace, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
grace and the time.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. I love that. Such a good starting point. Writing it down, saying it out loud, and the acceptance in your mind and body.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
thank you
really
so
like
much.
that idea.
Yeah, it's wonderful to co-create with you. It's always takes a resonance field between us that creates this beautiful content.
Thank you.
So thank
And
you so much.
just to end on one limiting belief, uh, for this little chat we are having, one of my big limiting beliefs is, how could I ever do a podcast? I'm definitely not capable or not worthy enough. So I'm very grateful to you that we are just having those chats together, and yes, having that support and possibility to um, just start with being allowed to interview you, which is a big honor for.
Oh, this is I'm sitting here with the biggest smile on my face because yeah, there is so much love for you in my heart, and I see how great you are bringing your positive energy into this conversation and your passion into this, because I know that you are just as passionate about what the joy dealers are about, the content of the joy dealers, as I am. And I'm very, very grateful that you are going onto this journey with me, even though there is imposter syndrome, because we all suffer from that in a certain way, and that connects us as humans. These limiting beliefs are actually very connecting, because we all have some some formulation of I am not okay the way I am. And yeah, in that we are connected as humans, and we can hold each other into a higher frequency by yeah, by showing each other that we are okay the way we are, that we are worthy the way we are, and um that life is just this form of co-creation like we are doing here right now.
Lovely. Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy to talk to you, and very happy that you are bringing your voice out to the listeners and to the world, because it's very very full and very worthy what you can bring and what healing energies you bring. So I'm very glad you're doing
Thank you so much. Thank you, and I hear you again soon. So much
this.
love.
Yeah.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon. Bye.